the nearest star. You're beautiful, baby. I'll take you anywhere you wanna go. You're beautiful, woman. I'm sure you know that I love you, need you, want you, got to have your time. Great God in heaven, you know I love you. In heaven, you know I love you.
I found all my sports buddies, you know, all my Salem High and Woodbury basketball pals, and I'd been in touch with Mark, but I hadn't seen any of the other rock and roll crowd, because by the late 90s, everyone was in a separate, you know, segment of society, so to speak. So Rick Poulin, a great Salemite from way back when, who was in the marching band in high school and was a rock and roll guy, he said, I got to take you over to Schofield's. They have this backyard party every summer. I had just started getting Michael to coordinate his summer trip, so we'd end up here at the same time, 2001, 2002. And we went from 0 to like 85. Going to Gary and Eric Schofield's backyard party, the Neighbors from Hell, which is the long-running, wonderful get-together of people, mostly musicians, to commemorate the loss of a few people along the way. And we had a wonderful guy, Jack Little, who was many considered the greatest guitarist to ever come out of Salem, who passed in the early 90s. And so they were getting together to celebrate his life. And so this had been going along, had no idea. Rick Poulin says, I got to take you someplace special. Takes us over to 15 Elmwood, Gary and Eric's house, the old homestead, where we used to jam and all the rock and roll happened in this early 70s. We walk into the backyard and it's like going into a time capsule. This is 2001, so it's, you know, almost 20 years later.
Right.
And all, the bands are set up, the equipment's set up, and the important people that we knew musically were there. So he and I started playing the old Rush tunes and the old Led Zeppelin and stuff from the high school days, and we just got this hearty rock and roll embrace from Gary's friends, the whole community. And so that was the other big component of how this all happened.
So you were part of the Field of Dreams origins, would you say that?
Right, yeah, I think we did an acoustic set out here. Years ago. Michael, my brother, and we got invited to do it, and we brought in Steve Thompson's daughter, Alana, who was a young teenage girl and was a good singer. And so we did might have been one of the first times they had music out here. Went really well, and so years later we heard that it was a regular thing, so we were delighted to be part of it. It was an absolute perfect fit.
I'd like to ask one of you, whoever wants to take this, to talk a little bit about the music, not only music you play, but your thoughts on today's music as well.
Well, let me open up and say that we have a very unique selection process. If we take all of our experiences, heavy saxophone, horns, horn arrangement, overall music from Dave, from hard rock to classic rock, the classics, vocalist Michael, drummer Gary, and we take essentially, we look at classic rock, which is the core, and we end up with probably the most full sounding set you will ever hear. Usually songs with great harmonies, songs that are probably very sophisticated, and are musicians' songs that also appeal to the general public. And I think that has really made us, you know, wanting to get together and keep doing this, because it's not just your normal rock and roll, it's your epic. One of the things that Gary came up with, you know, is the epic rock.
Yeah. Gary?
There's some fillers, but most part it's very large songs, big vocal songs, big guitar songs, things that everybody relates to them all. People love these songs for years and want to play more of them, you know, and it just sounds great with all these people playing them.
I think too, also, one of the things that we've all come to embrace is the challenge of picking songs that are technically and vocally difficult to reproduce. And that's kind of part of the allure of what we do. And to Gary's credit, one day he said, we don't just do classic rock tunes, we do epic classic rock tunes. And to John's point too, with the horns and the orchestration, it's a wonderful challenge for all of us to keep sharp and to get together and to really put this mix together once a year. And the challenges that we all have to go through to get it right, I think is and I'll speak on behalf of everybody, is part of the allure for this.
Right. You got to keep your voice going.
You have to. Absolutely.
Well, like you were saying, you talked about the correlation to today's music, and today's music has its place for the younger society. They love it. And we grew up in a time that there was the masters out there that carried on these performances and albums and re-recordings for decades, and that's the stuff we grew up with. And it's kind of, one by one, we're losing an artist here, losing an artist there.
Right.
All our music is going away, and it's, I have nothing against, the modern R&B, urban, everything. I listen to a lot, and, being in a band that does functions and weddings for younger people, I have to stay up on that as well. But when we get together and produce the music of the masters that we grew up with, that these kids, that come and see us, I guess the term now is like the dad rock, is what it's come to. But these kids are hearing,
But that's what we're
Rush,
comfortable with
and
too.
they're hearing Rush, and they're hearing Chicago, and they're hearing,
right.
these songs, and they're going, then they're going, back to their parents is like, do you have recordings of this stuff? And it's like, so it's reintroducing, and we've heard that from the younger, and we even brought, David Harris Jr., one of the guys we went to school with that graduated with us. His son is a phenomenal sax player, and he's actually joining us now, 25 years our junior, and so he's going to be the next generation, and I have no idea what he listens to on a regular basis, but now we're giving him an influence of the stuff that we grew up with, and that's the biggest part of it for us, is being able to keep this stuff alive and pass it on.
Feeling kinda dirty, feeling kinda mean. I've been from one to